All right, so you've watched a whole bunch of iPhone 11 videos and you're seeing all the cool innovation that Apple brought this year. They got some cool notch displays, some nice lightning ports. It's all very exciting stuff. But can your iPhone 11 do this? So this is a video on what I think is true innovation. This is the fixed Galaxy Fold, and I think this is going to be one of the most innovative phones we see of all of 2019. This is the fixed version. They tweaked a couple things. They added some plastic tabs to prevent dust from getting in on the sides here, and they've also tucked the plastic surface sheet underneath the trim just so you can't peel it off, and they've tightened up the gap on the spine just to minimize the amount of dust that can get into this device. So this video is going to be a conversation about just the whole idea of foldable phones. This isn't going to just be like a piece where I rattle off the features and stuff of this thing because I feel like that's been done 1,000 times. I've used this for a week at this point, and I feel like there's just stuff that I gotta share with you guys. So, okay, let's start with the crease. The crease isn't the most important thing, but this was something that I was concerned about before. So, when I first played with this device with Lou from Unbox Therapy, I remember going to that studio and just being really tunnel visioned on the crease, because I think media at that point had really just brought attention to the fact that there was a crease on the Galaxy Fold. But this time around, because I kind of expected it to be there, it wasn't nearly as noticeable for me. My brain just kind of tuned it out. I do think for some people, like even for the entire ownership of this device, they may focus on the crease, but I think for most people, they just learn to ignore it. I do think though that for Samsung's like marketing team and sales teams, it will be very difficult to convince people that this crease isn't a big issue. Like the very first time you see this, your brain just thinks there's no way you're gonna learn to ignore that, but I think for most people, they will. Okay, enough about the crease. I wanna talk about usability. This is probably the most important discussion to be had about folding phones. During Samsung's presentation, I remember them showcasing the usability of multitasking. It was a thing that they tried to showcase as one of the main features of a foldable phone. Now, having used this for a little bit, it is very capable of multitasking, sure, but I think the issue comes with just the manipulation, the constant manipulation of the windows and panels. Like when you use your phone, you don't want to set up a layout each time you do something different. Like on a desktop or a laptop, there are shortcuts, right? You can just kind of like open windows, maximize them, minimize them, and it's very quick to kind of set things up around. On a phone, it's all through your finger. Like you're constantly manipulating and moving the panels left and right. It is not a particularly fluid experience. I think what most people will gravitate towards is just using the phone with a large screen. And it is a really nice experience with that large screen, but I don't think people will be multitasking as much as they'd like to. Now, the large screen experience is excellent for like browsing the web or reading books, looking at spreadsheets, texting, emails, like anything that can take advantage of a large screen, and that's a lot of things, is great on such a large display. But the one thing I thought it would be really good for, media consumption, it actually isn't all that good because of the aspect ratio. So like most videos and stuff will just take up a portion of this display. A lot of the screen real estate is just not all that useful when it comes to modern video formats. And it's not terrible. Like obviously you can fill up that negative space with something else. Like you could look at, I don't know, Reddit while you're watching a YouTube video, but it's not a better media consumption device just because of this larger screen. The one thing that it's excellent for, like straight up excellent for, is gaming. I'm not a huge mobile gamer, but having played a few games on this thing, it's a very different experience to play on such a large screen compared to something like a phone. And I would even consider it to be a better game experience than a lot of tablets, just because of the particular size of this thing. So normally on a regular phone, it doesn't matter if it's a gaming phone or not, your hand covers the vast majority of the screen. Like your fingers are on the screen and just gets in the way of whatever game you're playing. On this device, it's something else. It's just a way better experience. The screen is bigger, so you're just seeing stuff in more detail. Your fingers are off the main area of the display, and it's cool. It's just a really fun gaming experience. Now, I will say that for developers, they do need to tweak their games to really optimize the use of a folding screen like this. So as an example, in Vainglory, I'm seeing less of the game terrain on this big screen than I would on a more rectangular display. But the overall gaming experience is just awesome on a Galaxy Fold. However, most people who are playing mobile games are not going to be dropping $2,000 on a phone. And I think that is probably the sore spot when it comes to this device. The fact that it is a $2,000 smartphone. It is really expensive to the point of opening it up to attack just because of its price tag. Now, I gotta be honest, I feel like for Samsung, they have to price it at this ridiculous price point right now. They have to. Like no self-respecting company would make one of the world's first foldable phones. Like this is crazy innovative stuff and sell it for anything less than that because they want to keep this thing as a high margin product right now. This $2,000 phone is meant for the person who can easily and comfortably and willingly drop $2,000 on a phone this year and then just replace it next year with another $2,000 phone. And maybe it'll be like the generation 2 of the Galaxy Fold. So there's people out there that have that kind of money. Samsung knows it. That's why they're charging this kind of money, because that's who this phone is for, not for us. Okay, I kind of want to wrap up this video with kind of a step back from this whole thing. So the current market right now in smartphones is just filled with stale options. We have bigger notches here, smaller notches there, an extra camera here. It's all minutia. And for a company like Samsung to make something that's truly innovative, to make something that's just fundamentally different from everything out there is cool. Like, it's far from perfect. I think the average user would just not enjoy this phone in its current state, regardless of its price tag. It's not refined. But this is like step one. And sometimes I see in the comments, not even sometimes, quite often, I feel like people want to see this fail. People want to see Samsung crash and burn on a product like this. Like, are you kidding me? You want this thing to crush it. You want it to be super successful so that we can get a $500 version of this in a few years. Like, that would be the best case scenario. But if this was $500, would you buy it? Like, if foldable phones were the same price as a regular phone, would you actually prefer it over regular phones that are lighter and easier to hold? I'm curious what you think. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. See you guys next time.